Hey y'all, Daniel Gaines here. Don't mind the hair, I ain't been up too long. Just want to go over some things, seeing as the hearing is supposed to be today for the extension of the protective order. I filed 2 motions yesterday, one to disqualify Carl Yates and one to continue the matter since I was not served until the 9th. Now, here's where we're going to get into some stuff, because I'm going to play some things for you. That way, y'all know that what I'm saying is in fact not made up, but it is actually in fact what's going on. So in this first one, it's going to be short. It's the day the officer initially tried to come serve me. I was not home, my old lady was. The officer called me, and, well, it's hard to hear the audio in that. I'll be posting a better clip of the audio straight from the recorder. However, is what you can hear me tell the officer there is that I'm not home. He has consent to leave it with my old lady. He says, our policy says I have to serve it to you directly. The judge likes personal service. I told him the law says anyone in the home over the age of 15 can be served, and that's legal service, proper legal service. He said he knows and he understands that, but his policy says different, so he has to comply with policy, not law. That's right, a sheriff's deputy who believes policy supersedes law. Not me saying it. That's a sheriff's deputy. But here, we'll get into this one and let y'all see this. See the time. I don't know if there's any personal information on there, so I'm not trying to show too much of that document. But the top page there is a subpoena for Major Andy Sides to appear in court as a defense witness.
All right, how are you?
Good.
Major Andy Sides is expecting me at 11 to accept a subpoena.
Okay.
Do I tell you to tell him?
I can check and see if he's here for the day.
Okay.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is Angel for Daniel Gaines.
Angel for Daniel Gaines. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Seems like it's just the court's website, so. You see the date. It is correct.
Coming right out to see you.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Too much glare. Under 3 minutes left.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
All right, how are you?
Good. Thanks.
There you go.
Perfect. That's for me. Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Hi, ma'am. Is Daniel with you?
No,
He's not.
no. I came along.
They said that he was going to come here with you so I could serve him the ex parte.
So he planned on coming with me, but I couldn't get my daughter to,
So is he home or where is he at?
as of right now, he's home.
All right. Well, I don't care if I get this to him or not, but the court date is Thursday. He doesn't show up for court. The judge will probably hear it without him there. So it's up to him.
If he's not served, how can he show up?
The judge can still, trust me, Yates can sometimes proceed. If I put on that the person's avoiding my service, the judge will proceed without service. That's the judge, I'm not a judge.
Oh, okay.
So he is home though? Well, if you want to let him know that I will head that way, I have a few more papers to go through, but I can head that way if he's going to be home.
Okay.
I just want to get the paper, so they'll get off my butt.
Okay, yeah, we were all gonna come here. And then,
I understand. I just wanted to, trust me, I got people bugging me every day about it. I just want to get rid of it. So, like I said, I can be out of here probably in like 10 minutes, which I can head straight to Parkton or the village.
Okay,
So I could be there probably about half an hour or so,
okay.
if he's gonna be around. If you wanna let him know.
Yeah, that's where I'm.
And there y'all heard it. In the officer's own words. All I have to do is put he's avoiding my service, and Yates will hold the hearing anyway. If you look up Revised Statute of Missouri 576.070, I recommend you actually go look up that statute. A simple Google search will pull up the statute. Just look up RSMO. RSM all caps, O is little because it's Revised Statute of Missouri. But go look up RSMO 576.070. You'll see that the caption of that law is treason. If you go in and read the statute, it literally states anyone who owes their allegiance to the state, such as a judge, and wars against the state and the Constitution of the state or the people of the state, they are guilty of treason. Now, treason requires, per the statute, 2 additional witnesses. Well, the statute's satisfied by what that officer said and what I can prove Yates has done in court. And then as far as witnesses go, that part of the law is satisfied by the fact that it's common knowledge in the sheriff's departments. All they have to do is put refuse service or avoiding service, and Yates will hold hearings anyway. Now, he even said he needed to serve me that day, the 9th, because the hearing was the 12th. And you hear my old lady say, can't do the hearing if he ain't been served. The officer says, Yates will anyway. Yates knows that Missouri law requires so many days' notice. That's the law. due process from the 14th Amendment, the 14th Amendment's due process requirement, you know, the U.S. Constitution, the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, its due process clause and requirements state that when it comes to service of process, it must be complete and proper. The law must be complied with. Period. Strict compliance, in fact, is the standard set forth by the U.S. Supreme Court. Strict compliance with the law. Now, Yates is known to operate outside the law. That's essentially the sheriff's department just says Yates will ignore the law and violate people's rights without any evidence just because the public servant says something or marks something. Don't need any proof, and Yates will violate your rights. Now, the thing about protective orders, they instantly come with a stripping and removal of your Second Amendment rights. So, how many people has Judge Yates screwed up their life or caused them trouble, legal trouble, simply because they were never served and didn't know they had a hearing? See, if you take the whole thing into context, that little bit in and of itself sounds bad enough. I admit, I acknowledge. However, when you take the other audio recording of Major Sides, I don't know if I've made this portion of it public, but in the longer one where I sat down and had that conversation with him, I played parts of that recording already anyway. But there's a part of it that will be released publicly and the jury's going to hear it, where Sides literally says there are times they don't even serve people. So, is Sides admitting that they'll just mark on there that the people refuse service, so Judge Yates will go ahead and hold these hearings? Is that what they're saying? Because Andy Sides is on audio saying they don't even that there's so many, they have so many documents to serve that sometimes they don't even serve them. Combine that with what that officer just said about Yates. Not looking good. It looks like the sheriff's department is facilitating Carl Yates' treason. Looks like the sheriff's department is engaged in treason with Carl Yates. And when you factor in that Carl Yates used to be the sheriff's department's attorney, oh yes, that's right. Carl Yates was the attorney for the sheriff's department. If they faced a lawsuit, he was their attorney. When you combined all this together with the fact that Andy Sides is the one who facilitated the protective order with Carl Yates anyway, and believe me, I've got the emails to prove this, but Andy Sides coordinated the protective order with Carl Yates, and then with everything else going on, it's not me saying these things. Y'all just heard the officer. You just saw the body cam that my body cam footage my old lady was wearing, my body cam. You heard the officer straight say it himself. I've got Andy Sides saying his part on audio recording. I've got the emails that'll be getting released to the jury and publicly. I've got it all. But yet, I'm the problem? See, just because people don't like foul language doesn't take away from the facts revolving around all of this crap. Let's see you be the recipient of the same 20 years worth of bullshit I've been the recipient of, and see if your language is neat, clean, and proper. Guarantee it won't be. Guarantee this shit'll piss you off to the point that you're cussing a bit too. However, seeing as the hearings today for the protective order, well, tentatively, I don't think it's going to go today. I don't think they're going to have a choice. We'll see, though. It's Carl Yates. Who knows what he's going to do because he's guilty of treason. But y'all just heard it yourself from an officer. Y'all might not think I'm credible. And I understand that. My language makes me sound like I've got a rap sheet a mile long. You'd never expect that I have no criminal fucking record at all. As weird as that is, just because of my language. But since y'all think I'm not credible, a guy who served honorably in the military, a guy who has letters of recommendations from a judge, a guy in a Fortune 500 company, an executive, not just some random worker, a literal fucking rocket scientist, a guy with a bachelor's in criminal justice, a guy who would only have to go back and do 2 classes in a student teaching to have a master's in education. That's the guy y'all deemed, or for some reason feel, isn't being honest. And like I said, the funny thing is, none of these other people have ever said I'm lying about any of what I'm claiming. They can't. They can't say I'm wrong. They can't say I'm misconstruing the law or I'm wrong about case law. And to date, nobody has said that. Not a single person's accused me of being wrong. Weird, isn't it? All the shit I say, nobody can say, nah, Mr. Gaines, you're wrong about that one. Here's what the law actually says. Here's what the courts have actually says. Nobody can do that. The reason they can't is because I actually do the work. I actually put in the time, read these court cases, I read if I can get access to police reports, the body cam footage, or everything else. I look at it all. I read it all. I read transcripts, everything if they're available. Some good places to do research. You can do a simple Google search for most things. However, some sites you want to watch for, you want cornelllaw.edu. That's a very credible site. And you want Justia. That's another very credible site. However, you also have the option of going straight to the U.S. Supreme Court's website. On the U.S. Supreme Court's website, you can find cases that they've addressed, that they've heard. And you can go through and find every case the Supreme Court's ever heard. So between those 3 resources, you can get a pretty accurate picture. Now, don't use any of that AI crap. The AI crap just literally makes things up. It's not trusted, not credible at all. And judges are actually getting pissed at people doing it because it's making more work for the judge because they have to go through and figure out what's legit, what's not, because most of these judges don't know much case law. They only literally deal with a few pieces and that's it. So they're completely fucking clueless to the rest. So they're getting pissed off about AI use as it relates to court documents and everything else. I don't use AI. It's a waste of time to even bother with it because it's only going to give you wrong information. Me, I'll use law school resources, Supreme Court resources, and things like that. Why? More credible. I mean, what more credible source is there than the U.S. Supreme Court? I mean, literally straight from the horse's mouth at that point. And don't worry, based on what I've shown about Carl Yates just in this video, not counting the other things that I've shown, but just in this video alone, not only is state statute for treason satisfied in its entirety, including the witnesses aspect, but then there's also some old Supreme Court case law. Still very much valid and standing, believe you me, but it is a bit older. I think one of the cases is actually from the 1930s to be specific. And there's several cases, though, that I'm going to get on the record, and they essentially say if a judge wars against the Constitution or the people, that judge is guilty of treason. Again, not Daniel saying this stuff. It's the law in the U.S. Supreme Court that says this stuff. I just know what it says. I'm just the asshole that's going to raise these issues publicly and in court. I'm just the asshole that's going to force people to look into Yates and determine if he actually is guilty of treason. I'm just the one that's going to bring about end of careers where possible. But I'm not the one that makes the laws or the case law. I just know where to find them. So, on that note, I hope y'all take the time to look at all these videos, especially the stuff about Yates. It's the protective order regarding Rachel Montgomery. That's the video where Yates, some more of Yates' egregious conduct comes into play. Yates had the protective order, what she wrote in front of him, and he saw the video. And the video, again, is online, and the video clearly disproves everything she claimed. He didn't care because she's a public servant. She's the only one that was allowed special treatment that day. And the audio recording will be going public in time. And I'll be proving that. See, Yates told several people that day they couldn't include things that weren't in their original filing. Several people that day were told that. Montgomery was the only one allowed to include something that wasn't in her original filing. And that was just a public comment I made about the protective order. And he allowed that to be cause for the protective order. Further, if you actually hear the video with the audio, I'm an asshole on the video. I admit that, freely and openly. However, you'll also notice that the only thing I did was engaged in free speech, because profanity is protected speech. Cohen v. California, 1971 Supreme Court case. CHOEN versus California. Go look it up. Guy walked through a courthouse in California with a shirt that said "fuck the draft." He was arrested for disorderly conduct. It went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, in which the U.S. Supreme Court determined he was not guilty of disorderly. His wearing a shirt that says "fuck the draft" is protected by the First Amendment. Profanity is protected by the First Amendment. If you don't like it, simply don't look. That's literally what the court said. Again, I don't make these rules. The courts did. So, if you hear the audio, you'll hear I just cussed them out for violating students' rights in the law. And that's why they lied. So, Yates is allowing First Amendment rights to be criminalized if it's a public servant who wants it done. Because again, the only one who got special treatment was the public servant, a high school principal. Look it up if you think she's not a public servant. Go to the Department of Education's website. Check on there. Check with the Supreme Court. They'll tell you the same thing. A high school principal at a public school, that's the key. Public schools. Private schools, they're not public servants. They're not civil servants at a private school. A private school does not receive state or federal funds. Public schools are entirely funded by public tax dollars, by tax dollars, typically in the local municipality that the school's in. However, the state also kicks over so much money because the federal grants they get every year. So some of that money the schools get is federal money as well. Limited federal funds, mostly state, but it still receives state taxpayer funds. So therefore, it's publicly accessible property, and they're public servants. And, excuse me, pardon me, sorry. Montgomery is the only one who got special treatment. All I hear is Dave Chappelle when he's saying, "Gotcha, bitch." Not about Montgomery or anything, but about the whole scenario. That's just what keeps popping in my head. These people are screwed. I did reach out to the FBI yesterday, and I was going to wait till after the trial and give them everything, but things have gotten to the point where I can't. They wanted exact spelling of several names. Carl Yates' name was one of them. They wanted the video and audio recordings related to these things, which they were sent. And Monday, I will be going to St. Louis to their office to provide a lot more evidence. Side's name was given: Yates, Montgomery, William Scott, Stuckmeyer. Let's see. I think there was another one. I'd have to listen to the audio again, but don't worry, that'll all get made public too. Everything's going public. But for now, I just wanted to show y'all that video. That way y'all can hear an officer saying Carl Yates doesn't care about your rights, doesn't care about the law. He's just going to do whatever the hell he wants while presiding over cases. As a judge, he's going to do whatever the hell he wants. Fuck the law and fuck your rights. Like I said, these people view themselves as royalty, and we're just the peasants. Don't you dare attempt to stand up to them. See, another thing that I want to expose about Yates is whenever I sued him, his immediate response and reaction was to 6 state agencies on me to try and harass me and threaten to arrest me and everything else. He didn't realize how quickly that would blow up in his face, but Carl Yates personally is the one who reached out and made a couple calls. I have the information. Carl Yates retaliated because I sued him for violating the law and my rights. And now he's going to do it again. Because I sued him, he should have disqualified him or recused himself from this protective order the instant it came back across his desk and he saw my name. The fact that he didn't, more proof that his intent is to retaliate further, probably by extending it, even though the bulk of her claim is he engaged in protected speech. He's posting things publicly, which he's allowed to do. That's literally 90% of her new stuff. The only other thing is me saying I'm going to go to a publicly accessible space. So, yeah, we'll see how things go. I'll be coming back later today to let you know if he had granted the protective order or what happened. In my motion to disqualify him, I straight accuse him of treason. I reached out to the clerks yesterday and am trying to get Judge Stacy, the presiding judge, involved because she's the one who has the authority to address treason from a judge. And yeah, we're gonna go that route. Either way, if Yates signs that order today, Monday there will be a new lawsuit against him filed. Montgomery as well. Jason King and the Windsor School Board. Everybody who I've already sued, I'll be resuing. Only this time, I won't make the same document error, which means they're going to have a harder time getting this thrown out. Bias against pro se litigants. Any document error, they're going to use that as justification to throw it out, even though the Supreme Court said they're not allowed. They don't care. Judges protect public servants, and that's just the way that goes. However, we'll see if they can get around this lawsuit. Because like I said, there won't be the same errors this time. I'll be sure to list injuries. And I'll be sure to include everybody in their personal capacity. Even though last time it was personal and professional, this time it'll just strictly be personal capacity. But I'll be sure to list injury, a cause for relief or for damages. I'll be sure to include all that. So, until later when I let y'all know what happens, have a nice day.